All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott at Blackhawk Technical College, welcoming you to the Chapter 5 lecture for the 152, 153 Mobile Web Development iOS class for the spring 2016 semester at Blackhawk Technical College. Again, this is another chapter that will basically end up being a lot of review because the author says that it's worth talking about playgrounds in here. And actually, I'll probably be able to do quite a bit of the next couple chapters and put the stuff into a playground. I think it'll be just as easy to do it there as it will be to do it anyplace else. So, as mentioned, playgrounds are a feature that was introduced in Xcode 6 and has been enhanced in Xcode 7 to make it easier to learn, play with, whatever, experience Swift. So a playground, as mentioned here down toward the bottom of, or the middle of the page, the author says here that a playground is an interactive environment, doggone, where Swift can be entered and executed, and the results appear in real time, virtually right away. All right, so to create a new playground, we'll have to go into Xcode, and you choose the option to get started with a playground option. All right, so let's go in and do that. So I'll get started with a new playground. And you can see it's called My Playground by default. I should mention there's iOS here, and there's OS X, and there's tvOS. They all basically work the same, except that what gets imported at the top will be different depending on which one of these you choose. I'm going to keep it My Playground, I'm going to keep it iOS, and I'm going to click Next. So it says, where do you want to save this? As I have been doing, I'll put it right on my desktop, so I'll click Create. And here it is. All right, not really a whole heck of a lot to it right now. And I'm trying to figure out right now why that's not showing me the output over here. But we'll get that in just a minute. All right, so again, a playground is an interactive environment where Swift code can be entered and executed, with the results appearing in real time. It makes it an ideal environment to learn Swift and the visual aspects of iOS app development without the need of constantly having to create a project, go in there and have to constantly be coming in there and compiling, recompiling, and the like. Okay? All right. So to create it, we started up Xcode. We selected the Get Started with Playground option. We could have also done a File New Playground. On the screen that came up, they told us to name the playground Learn Swift. I just kept it as My Playground. All right. And we set the platform menu to iOS. We click Next, saved it to the desktop, and once it came out, okay, this area that you see right here, that area, is the playground editor. The right-hand panel, which I'm not seeing right now, and maybe if I click one of these I can see it, I don't know. What's supposed to be over here is what's referred to as the results panel. And that's where each Swift expression that you enter into the playground editor is displayed. All right. The three buttons that you see up here are used to hide and display the other panels. You already know about these. The leftmost button right here displays or hides the Navigator Panel, which, as we know, shows basically the folders and files that make up the playground. So if I click it, you can I click here, there you can see it. If I click again, it's gone. The middle button displays the debug view, which is down here on the bottom of the screen. And the rightmost button displays the utilities panel. Okay. Now, turning up to page 22, the author says here at the beginning of section 5.3, perhaps the simplest of examples is to write some code to output a single line of text. Swift is no exception to the rule, so within the playground window, begin by deleting the current Swift expression from the editor panel. All right. And enter the line of code that reads as follows. Print. Welcome to Swift. And there you see it. It says all that code does is make a call to the built-in Swift print function, which takes a parameter, as a parameter, a string of characters to be displayed on the console. All right, and really the console we're talking about down here. It shows up here, but it's actually being displayed down here. All right, remember we do not need a semicolon at the end of the line, and in general, as mentioned, about halfway down on page 22, that really the only time that you typically will have a semicolon is if you want to put multiple statements on the same line. So we now have our Welcome to Swift showing really in three areas. Up here where we keyed it in, over here in our results panel, and down here in our console area. Playgrounds are particularly useful when working with and experimenting with Swift objects. They say remain in the program editor and enter the following lines. Put a little white space in here, so var x equal 10 for index in 1 ... 20. We'll talk about what that means in just a second. Curly brace. Let y equal index times x minus minus. All right. This expression repeats a loop 20 times, performing an arithmetic expression on each line in the loop, and it even says that here. It says more interesting information may be obtained by hovering the mouse pointer over the results line so that two additional buttons appear, and they're shown down here. They're very hard to see. The leftmost is the quick look button, and if we click that, it shows us here what's happening in a pop-up panel. The rightmost button, so if we click the rightmost button, that's the show result that displays the results in line with the code. All right, on the bottom of page 23 and going on to the next page, a useful tool when inspecting the results of the code sequence is the timeline slider, which is off by default. It can be enabled by displaying the utilities panel, and you know what that is right here, and enabling the show timeline checkbox. Well, I'll tell you, I'm having nothing but luck today, so we go. There's the show timeline. There we go. Once enabled, the timeline appears as a slider located along the bottom edge, as you can see down here. And as it says, we can take this and drag and show where we currently are. All right. Clicking on the blue Run button located on the left will rerun the code within the playground. So if I click there, there it is. All right. Bottom of page 24, figure 5 or section 5.6, adding rich text comments. Rich text comments allow the code within a playground to be documented in a way that's easy to format and read. A single line of text can be marked as being a rich text comment by preceding it with a // marker. So for instance, the author says here, and I'll tell you what, let's remove this. All right, just because it'll make it a little bit easier with what we're reading right now. So // this is a single line of document. I'm just reproducing what's in the book on page 24. Documentation text. And if we want multiple lines, it's /*, hit enter. This is a block of documentation text that is intended to span multiple lines. There you go. So the author mentions on the bottom of page 24, to see rich text comments in action, enter the following markdown content into the playground editor immediately after the Welcome to Swift line of code. All right. All right. It says, as the content is added, it is said to be displayed in a raw markup format. To display it in rendered markup format, select the Editor Show Rendered Markup menu option. Editor Show Rendered Markup. All right, and now you can see what we have here. Now it looks like I didn't do mine perfectly correctly because it doesn't look exactly the same as it does in the book. So let's go back to Editor and let's say Show Raw Markup, and let's make it look exactly like it did in the book. Okay. Now I guess it looks a little bit more like what you see um, in figure 5.9 that's on page 25. Okay? All right. So if we go out, and you can look at this yourselves, but let me just show you this. So let me minimize this. And the author mentions here, so that's what mine looked like, just the way it does in the book, that if you want more information about it, you can go to the URL right here. As mentioned down below this, a playground can consist of multiple pages, with each page containing its own code, resources, and rich text comments. So far, we just have a single page. It says add an additional page right now, so we'll do that. So let me take this. All right. Add an additional page right now with File, New Playground Page. File, New Playground Page. Once added, click the leftmost of the three buttons. Bring that back up here. Don't know what just happened. That's my playground. It's there, and so it should be coming up. Not sure what's going on here. So let me close that. See if I can open this. Now, it's possible that this was not saved, when it really should be coming up. I may have to re-add that new page, but the old page should come up and it should have been saved. There it is. But again, I'm not sure exactly what happened here. But let's come in and see if we can do this. So File, New Playground Page. All right, and I guess I already had a bunch of pages in there because now there's page 4. We'll just leave that one up. That's not up there. There's page 2. Okay, good. All right. Once added, click the leftmost of the three buttons marked C in figure 5.1 to display the Navigator panel. Well, you know which one that is. That's right here. All right, so as you can see, I now have Untitled Page 2, Untitled Page 3, and Untitled Page 4. So they want us to click on here where it's got this, and then click on it again, and change its name to UI Kit Examples. All right, so I've got that. I no longer need this page here. Says, do you want to remove the untitled page 3 to the, yeah, I'm going to move it to the trash. Want it to look the way it does in the book. So same thing here. So we now have, they tell you that they don't like the name My Playground here, so I wonder if I can click on that and change that too, but it doesn't look like it. So untitled page, UI Kit examples, sources, and resources. Good. The playground environment is not restricted to simple Swift code statements. Much of the power of the iOS 9 SDK is also available here. All right. So it says when you work with the UI kit in a playground page, it is necessary to import the iOS UI kit framework. All right. That framework contains most of the classes necessary to implement what we need. The following code, for example, is going to create a label instance, set its color and its property. Well, let's change this. We'll put it in as UI kit, and I'm going to enter in the code that is shown starting here on the bottom of page 25, and I'm just going to put the rest of it that's shown here also. So again, I'm putting in the same code that's shown in the book on pages 25 and 26. Except theirs is typed correctly, and mine, of course, is not. All right. Notice I'm starting to get some labeled stuff here. That's good, I think. It says, enter this code into the playground editor on the UI kit examples page. The line importing the foundation framework can be removed. All right, and note this is a good example of how the quick look feature can be useful. Each line in the Swift example configures a different aspect. Clicking on the quick look button for the first line will display an empty view since the label exists, but it is yet to be given any visual attributes. Clicking on the quick look button in the line which sets the background color, which is right here. All right, will show the red label. Similarly, the quick look view on the text property, so the next line down, now it shows us with Hello Swift, and now we're looking at it centered. All right, moving on to the bottom of page 26. The author talks about adding resources. Give me just a second here. All right. So the author says a new feature of Playgrounds introduced in Xcode 7 is the ability to bundle and access resources such as image files in a playground. Within the navigation panel, click on the right-facing arrow to unfold the page, to unfold the contents in the resources section. It says if you have not already done so, download and unpack the code samples that are in the book. Well, what I'll have to do, very quickly hopefully, is to minimize this, grab this, trash that. All right, come back, change the what I have is on the Intel machine. I've got the code samples, so I'm going to copy it right now, hopefully very quickly. I'm going to copy that over to the flash drive. If you give me just a second, please. Find out where it is on here. That's not it. I'm hoping that this is it, so let's see. Copy. Paste. All right, that'll take a minute to copy. "30 seconds. All right. Now I have to remove this, remove the flash drive from the Intel machine, place the flash drive back into the Mac. You'll see it appear right here in just a second. And what I'll do is open this up, grab those book samples, drag that out here, which will again take a couple seconds. I apologize for that. All right. Open a Finder window, navigate to the Playground image folder. We want to find this waterfall and drop it onto the resources folder beneath the UIKit example page navigation panel. All right, doesn't sound too difficult. So let me go back to here. Okay. That's not a good sign. There it is, but for whatever reason it didn't copy over here. Boy, oh boy. All right, again, I apologize. So let me close this. Let's go back and let's look at it on here, see if it's in here. It did not copy over. Fantastic. Okay. There's the book samples. Somewhere over here, let's grab that image. Oh my goodness. Boy. I'm making a mess of this. Ridiculous. I may know what the problem is. It is there, but I think it's a hidden file because it starts with a dot. Boy, oh boy. This would be funny if it wasn't so stupid. Okay, what I'm trying to do here is, like I said, I'm having some kind of a problem with this being a dot file, so I'm copying it to just waterfall.ping. This is starting to get ridiculous. So iOS book samples, go down to playground images. There's the waterfall ping. All right. And we were supposed to open the Finder window, navigate to the playground image, drag and drop it onto the resources folder beneath the UI kit page. All right, so I'm going to grab that. Okay, I think that looks right. And actually, it was meant to go into that resources. Okay. All right, with the image added, add the code to the page to create an image object and display the waterfall image on it. All right, well, this may or may not work with the luck that I've been having. So, with the code added, use the Quick View option to view the results of the code. Well, it says nil, and that's not a good thing. So that's not going to show anything if it's nil. Could not rename it. Boy. Well, it's probably because that one, well, I don't know why I couldn't. All right, I'm just going to stop, try to see if I can figure out what that problem is, get it back on there to show it to you. Okay? All right. Working with enhanced live views. So far in this chapter, all of the UI kit examples have involved presenting static user interface elements using quick look and inline features. However, it is also possible to test dynamic user interface behavior within a playground using the Xcode enhanced live features. To demonstrate this, create a new page named Live View Example. Within this, remove the existing lines of the old code and add some new stuff. So let's see if we can do that. So we are to come in here and do a file, new, playground page, which added it right there. We are to rename that page Live View Example. All right, and with the Live View Example page up there, we are to remove everything that's on the page and start typing. Of course, it always helps when you put your hands on the right keys. Again, I'm copying the code right in here. I'm on page 27 in the handout. That's all the code on page 27, and I'm supposed to add some more on page 28 on the top of the page. And I believe that's everything. Okay. It says this code creates a UI view object to act as a container, and it assigns it a white background color. A smaller view is then drawn, positioned in the center of the container view and colored red. The second view is then added as a child of the container view. An animation is then used to change the color of the smaller view to blue and to rotate it 360 degrees. If you're new to iOS programming, rest assured that these areas will be covered in detail in later chapters. At this point, the code is simply provided to highlight the capabilities of live views. Clicking on any of the quick look buttons will show you a snapshot of the views at each stage in the sequence. So let's do that. Okay. All right. The XC Playground module includes a method named XCP Show View, which can be used to execute the live view within the playground timeline. To display the timeline, click on the toolbar button containing the interlocking symbols right here as highlighted. When clicked, the button displays the Assistant Editor panel. Once that timeline is visible, add the call to the XCP Show View as follows. So in here, I guess we have to do it. No. So let container equal, tell you what, let's stretch all these out quite a bit here. That'll help, okay. All right, so after the container, after the let container, so right there, XCP show view my view container. Once the call has been added, the views should appear on the timeline as shown in figure 518. During the 5-second animation duration, the red square should rotate 360 degrees while gradually changing to a blue color, as shown on page 29 in your book. To repeat the execution of the code in the playground page, select the Editor Execute Playground or click the blue Run button. Oops. Or click the blue Run button located next to the timeline slider, which is down over here. If the square Stop button is currently displayed in place of the Run button, click on it to stop execution and redisplay the Run button. The different stages of the animation may also be viewed by moving the timeline slider. Since the animation only lasts 5 seconds in length, the slider may also be reduced to 5 seconds using the control at the end of the slider. Right here says 30, so we can change that to 5. Alright, so I was playing on the slider to do that. When to use playgrounds as we finish up Chapter 5. Clearly, Swift playgrounds provide an ideal environment for learning to program using the Swift programming language, and the use of playgrounds in these early chapters is recommended. It's also important to keep in mind that playgrounds remain useful even after the basics of Swift have been learned, because it's a great place to practice and try different things. The iOS 9 SDK is a vast collection of frameworks and classes, and it is not unusual for even experienced developers to need to experiment with unfamiliar aspects of iOS development. Historically, this has involved creating a temporary project that's kind of tough because it's the cumbersome edit, compile, run, etc. Rather than falling into this habit, you can now use a playground to experiment in your project development work. So this chapter introduced the concept of playgrounds, which provide an environment in which Swift code can be entered and the results of the code can be viewed dynamically. You saw that it was an excellent learning tool. And in the next chapter, Chapter 6, we will go into Swift data types, constants, and variables.